Hello folks, and another very warm welcome to the Supplier Spotlight podcast. My name is Liam Ball, I am your magical wedding host, also known as the Gentleman Magician. And as always, this podcast exists to shine a light on some of the very best people in the wedding industry, suppliers who can bring skill, atmosphere and genuine care to a couple's wedding day. As always, if you're enjoying this podcast, please do like, share and subscribe. It genuinely does help people to make better, more informed decisions for their wedding day. Now, today's guest is a professional wedding violinist, somebody who understands how live music can instantly transform a space. From the delicate emotion of a wedding ceremony to relaxed drink receptions and elegant background ambience, a violin brings warmth, sophistication, and beautiful music in a way that is almost impossible to replicate in any other way. Now, she's known for refined performances, for versatility, and having a beautiful adaptability to make music suit the moment wherever and whenever it is. So it's a huge pleasure to welcome to the Supplier Spotlight podcast from Music by Violin, Caroline Jory. Hello, Caroline. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning, Liam. Yes, I'm very well, thank you.
Absolutely fabulous. How is live treating you?
Well, it's been a whirlwind. Normally, generally, over the winter months, one would appear not to be that busy, but in fact, it's the opposite. Lots of wedding open days, wedding shows, gearing up for a very busy season, which is absolutely brilliant.
There's always something going on in the wedding industry, isn't there? It really does never stop. So let's kind of cut right back. I always like to do right back to the beginning with sort of what you do as a wedding, because a violin is an incredibly difficult instrument to pick up, to learn, and to master. And you've done all of those things in spades. So how did you first get into playing the violin? What brought you to it, and how did that then transition into being a wedding violinist?
Right, well, let's go back to the beginning. I was age 7 at primary school, and the headmaster was just doing a little bit of music auditions, I guess, and said to my parents, I think Caroline's got a good ear for music. Would she like to learn the violin? It could have been any instrument, to be honest with you. But I'd started to play the violin, a bit scratchy, obviously, at the beginning, but with a lot of perseverance and with the blessing of my parents, who put me in my bedroom right at the very back of the house so they couldn't hear me scratching. I started to develop and learn to play and went through my grades. And by the time I was 16, I'd managed to pass my grade 8 violin exam, which was absolutely brilliant. And I studied then a junior department at the Royal College of Music in London for about 2 years. So that is kind of how I started and progressed. I classically trained as well from the beginning, right up to the age of about 18. So for about 11 years, I studied.
Okay. So studying violin up until you were 18, and did you just start doing weddings immediately, or did that come later?
No, not at all. I started to then, I was involved with sort of local orchestras and some productions, musicals and things like that locally. Did quite a lot of orchestral work and some string quartets. Was involved in that. And then to my parents' absolute horror, I decided I didn't want to do music as a career. So complete to their shock horror, I just felt that I couldn't compete, I guess, with all the international performers. So I decided I wanted a complete change and did music for fun and had a complete different career change. I went into working a legal department for a law firm doing matrimonial law. So totally different. And still played in the background. And then I had my daughter 17 years ago and thought I'd really like to get out of the rat race of London and try my hand in and see if it would work and try and make weddings my career. So for about 2 years, I worked in London part-time, bringing up my daughter, and I started to do some wedding shows to see how it would go. And it really took off in a really big way. So I had some refresher lessons as well, practiced very, very hard. And then luckily, for the past 13 years, I've been now performing full-time for weddings. So it's really taken off, and I've seen my business grow from strength to strength. So I'm really very quite proud of the fact that, yeah, I've now managed to get to this level.
Yeah, I think, do you know what? And I think this is something that I think many people don't realize, and I think it's across all of the arts, is that the crippling self doubt about, am I good enough? I can't be as good as this person, or that person is so much better than me. And
Mhm.
it's kind of, it's destroying sometimes, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I remember doing my first wedding show, and I was absolutely petrified,
Yeah.
thinking, oh my goodness, people won't like me.
Mhm.
I've got to kind of try and speak to the public, which is
Yeah.
a really big, uh, it's huge, isn't it? To try and kind of sell yourself, I guess, and having that confidence. And there was a guy who was running the wedding show, and he came up to me and he went, "You've just got to own it and act like you've been doing it for a long, long time, and just try and, just go for it." So, which is what I did, and I haven't really looked back. It is having a lot of confidence,
Yeah.
to be able to kind of go out into the big wide world and try. You have to sell yourself, I
Yeah.
guess. Um, and and that's kind of, yeah, where I'm at now.
I think that's another whole part of it, isn't it? Is the confidence. There's so many people I see who go, "Gosh, I could never have the confidence to do this or to do that or to," and I think again, what people don't realize is that every single person who is out there doing those things has at some point felt that way. I remember when I used to sort of, when I was in the army, so you're talking 26, 27 years ago, about longer than that now. Yeah, but 27 years ago. I'd walk up to sort of, I used to get commissioned and ordered to go into the officers' mess to do bits of magic for some of their functions. And I was terrified because I think, gosh, they don't really think I'm very good, and I don't know what to say, and blah, blah. And it was terrifying. But of course, confidence is one of those things that comes from doing, and the more you do something, you better you get at it, and therefore your confidence grows.
Absolutely. I always remember it was one of I was heavily pregnant with my son, and it was one of the first kind of big performances that I was doing. And
Yeah,
it was for a wedding breakfast, and they had cameras on me,
yeah,
and we was all ready to go. And the weather had taken a turn for the worse, and it started snowing. And my violin doesn't like really extreme cold weather.
yeah,
And so the video was about to play, the couple were just about to walk in, and my string broke right at the very crucial moment of the start of my performance. So that was absolutely horrifying to me.
yeah,
And I had to say, I'm really, really sorry. Went out the room, sorted it out, and had to come back in all smiley, but inside I was absolutely a mess.
yeah.
But and everyone was really lovely about it. But yeah, that was very embarrassing and very awkward. And but it was a bit of a story to tell, I guess. And I gave my string to the couple and said, hopefully that's good luck for you.
Yeah, that's right. Because I mean, there are, of course, there are so many things that can just crop up in the moment and happen that are absolutely out of your control, and then of course you've got to deal with it. And I think, do you know what? I mean, I used to know somebody really well who was in fact a professional violinist some years ago, and all of these kind of things would come up, and it would be like, how much do you think my violin is worth? And I'd be like, God, couple hundred quid. She'd be like, yeah, no, 25 grand. And it's like, what? What? It's crazy, right? Because I mean, these instruments are. I mean, obviously, you see professionals like yourselves going out there doing what you do, and it looks like you're absolutely thrashing the life out of it to make this beautiful, wonderful music. But of course, what they don't realize is that this is such a delicate, sometimes really temperamental instrument, right? And of course, the expertise comes from knowing how to get the most beautiful music out of that wonderfully complicated, yet oh so simple piece of apparatus and machinery, without anybody realizing that inside you're going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Well, especially if you're performing, and I always check my instrument totally and utterly before I actually do any performance. And in this particular instance, the string was just started to break,
Yeah,
and I was right in the middle of flow of I think it was just before the bride came in, and there was no time, so you just have to improvise. Luckily, it held,
Yeah.
But yeah, inside I'm absolutely panicking, thinking, goodness, this could go at any moment. And you have to just improvise and play on different strings with
Yeah.
those notes and make sure, no one would know,
Yeah.
and you have to keep smiling through it. In weather, if I'm performing outside for reception drinks and it's really hot and sunny, that can be really temperamental to the tone, and it goes seriously out of tune. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's
Just so much to it.
and in the
So,
winter time as well.
yeah. So, I mean, of course, uh, uh, of course, there's so much to music, right? And it's, I think it, I personally find it wonderfully magical that you've got 8 notes, and yet you can make an instrument sing in such a way that is just mesmerizingly beautiful. And then, of course, anybody who's kind of looked at music at any point, or looked at the professor's music at any point, realizes that you can enter into different grades, and of course you can get different levels of playing. And of course, the higher up the grade you go, the better the player you are, but also the harder it is. And of course, the gap in in competency at the top of that scale is in some ways so small, but in other ways so vast, isn't it?
Absolutely, definitely. Yeah, from jumping, I went through the motions of doing the grades, and that's great, and doing all the scales and the arpeggios and the theory side of it. But yeah, to master, you have to it's from the heart basically. And you have to really feel the music.
Yeah.
And if you feel the music and it then comes through, and you can make the violin sing. And it's an incredible instrument, from the lower depths of the tone to the higher notes. But yeah, I'm still learning. Basically, there's always something to learn, whether it be the bowing or like the different ways you can kind of pizzicato and all sorts. So yeah.
All these wonderful different parts of violin music. So in your opinion, and I certainly got my own opinions on this, but in your opinion, what would you say that violin music adds to a wedding day that other music, be it live or recorded, just can't?
I just think it evokes emotion, and there's so many pieces of music that are very emotive, and especially if you've got a favorite piece of music, and it is so lovely to incorporate that into someone's special day, and different. It vary. The piece of music can be so, you can play around with music so much. For example, one of my clients wanted like a really heavy metal piece of music, and she said, "Well, I really want to walk down the aisle, but I can't walk down to Metallica like in its normal format." So I was able to play around with it
Yeah.
and make it happen for them. And the only sort of music I don't generally play is heavy rapping or drum and bass. But on the flip side of that, somebody else has just asked me if I can do a really upbeat Becky Hill track that is a little bit like drum and bassy.
Yeah.
And she said, I just want the vocal with you on the top. And can you add the harmonies to that? So I've got some recording equipment at home, and I've been sort of harmonizing and recorded about 3 different versions of melody on the violin, and it is stunning. And I'm really happy with it. And she's absolutely loves it. So it's work in progress, but we're getting there. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I find it so important for couples. It's got to be so bespoke. Everybody's unique. Everyone's music taste is so different. And I would just want to make their day really, really special. And it's nice to incorporate different pieces of music with family members, sometimes that are no longer with us, as a really nice tribute to them.
Yeah.
So that's special. That's really special as well.
I mean, obviously, when you're sort of going through your process with your clients, and we'll talk about this in a minute, there must be a moment where you say, have you got any favorite pieces or any pieces that you don't want to play? What are your favorite pieces of music to play when somebody says, oh, we'd really like this? And you kind of go, yes, I love that.
I love musicals.
Yeah.
So for me, any kind of type of musical, I love Les Miserables.
Ooh.
And I love Les Mis. And any tracks from that, I absolutely adore playing that. So it puts a big smile on my face. Um, so yeah, and again, it's very important. But I always ask clients if they're like giving me a little bit of a free rein. Sometimes they say to me, "Can you fill in some gaps?"
Yeah.
We've chosen our favourites. And I always ask, is there music you don't want them to perform? Because it might, from, I don't know, from a bereavement aspect or something that triggers a bad memory. So that's quite important as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. And now, I mean, one of the conversations I remember having previously was that probably two of the most requested tracks on a wedding day, because of course you're there, you're playing, and it's usually that people come say, oh, can you play this? Is that two of the most requested tracks would have been Paco Val's Canon and Game of Thrones. Is that
Yep.
is that still a thing?
Taco Bell's Canon. Not so much now. I used to play probably about 10 years ago. It was the most requested song.
Yeah.
These days, probably Christina Perry, House and Yeast is really popular.
Okay.
So, I mean, the Ed Sheeran classics,
Yeah.
they're very, very popular. Elvis Presley, Can't Help
Yeah.
Falling in Love, again. But it's beautiful. And I have different versions of it, so as well. So, yeah, sometimes if you want to really, if the bride wants to walk down the aisle to it,
Yeah.
stuff looks absolutely stunning. If you want to walk back down the aisle to it as you just got married, slightly more upbeat version.
Yeah.
So I had
Yeah.
that. I got married a couple of years ago, and we had that as our walking back down the aisle song.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything's kind of possible.
I mean, one of my favorite things about seeing sort of live musicians, especially like violins at weddings, is that you'll see that sort of playing a piece of music and you think, oh gosh, that's wonderful. And then you'll kind of see people going, oh, this is really nice. And you'll get somebody else going, oh my God, this is that track from the so-and-so. And they're like, is it? And they're like, yeah. They go, oh, oh yeah. Oh, it is. Oh, how wonderful. Because you get that, don't you? You kind of get that moment where violin music is beautiful, and to some people they'll be like, well, it's violin music. But then others are like, no, 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 but this is that very specific piece. And you must get to see people around where they start to get excited, or they kind of, oh yeah, that's that wonderful track. And suddenly they kind of start, having a little dance to themselves.
I did a wedding last week, last Tuesday, and the couple really liked quite heavy rock music. And they also love Lord of the Rings. So I was able to perform Concerning Hobbits. And they had, there was Metallica in there. The dad was a big Metallica fan. And I played Into the Sandman. And he was absolutely loving that. I love rock music anyway. So a bit of Guns N' Roses, Sweet Child of Mine. And again, they wanted the more rockier version. So that was great, and the guests were all singing along to it. Standing up. I wish I could have filmed it because it was so cool. And right at the very end, everyone was joining in, and it was great. It wasn't like karaoke. It was really classy, and everyone was really having great time. So that's great fun.
Absolutely fabulous. What have been some of your sort of standout all-time favorite memories at weddings?
Oh, goodness. Favorite times. I always remember there was a wedding breakfast that I did. And again, there was some real favorites within their family. And they started getting up and having a little sing-song, bit of dancing. They were waving all their napkins around. And it was just great. It just happened. Couldn't say anything to make it happen. It just happened. And there was such a really good buzz in the room, really good vibe. And everyone was getting up and enjoying themselves. So, and that was during the dinner. So yeah, it was good fun. It's a really good vibe.
Awesome. I mean, music is just one of those things that really brings out emotion in ways that I don't think anything else does, but sometimes in ways that people don't expect, isn't it?
No, exactly. And I think sometimes, especially with a wedding, all of the planning, that amount of time that it's taken for couples and their families to be included. And then the emotion hits, I start performing and as brides waiting in the wings, and you look at the groom and mum, the mums generally kind of, you can see the emotion in their eyes.
Yeah.
And it's a special moment. And you can't, I wish I could bottle it up. It's just really special. And it's something that they've imagined and prepared for quite a long time.
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, I've definitely got, sort of string music and violin music specifically that, sort of if it's in a playlist and I'm kind of driving down the road and it sounds weird to say, right, but it might come on and I'm like, well, I've got no skip because I know I'm just gonna stop paying attention, right? I can't because it speaks like string music speaks almost straight to the heart. And
Mm.
when you're in a live environment, even more so because you can almost feel the reverberation of that music coming off the instrument, and it's just like, oh, this is you can
Right.
bask in that, right? And I think
Absolutely.
I think people sometimes just don't realize that. So let's kind of wind it back to the wedding business a bit, and a bit more sort of specifically business. So somebody out there right now, they think, hey, I love the sound of Caroline. I'm going to go and check out her website, and they fill out an inquiry form, and they say and what kind of a process are they going to expect to see from you, and what sort of steps are you going to be guiding them through?
So generally, I get an inquiry. It can come through as an email, obviously on socials or on my website. And I, first of all, check to see if the date's free. So I can only generally do one wedding a day, unless it's a very early wedding or a twilight wedding later on, but generally just one wedding. So that is the first process to see if I am available. Hopefully, I am. And if I am, then I kind of go back to them and say, this is what I can offer you, the different packages I can offer you. But
Yeah,
I'm not one size fits all. So it's a very much a couple's, it's their choice, their day, and see where they envisage me fitting into their special day, I guess. And then seeing what sort of music they like as well. I get asked to play lots of different music. I have a repertoire which is not exhaustive because it's just a guide basically. So couples can choose exactly what they want and the different type of music they want, and then we'll go from there. And then, yeah, I kind of say to them, right, this is the amount of pieces that you can choose that will fit the time, the required time. And yeah, I get learning new pieces. It's a challenge sometimes, but good fun.
yeah,
And yeah, so whether it be for a ceremony, as guests come and sit down, take their seats, me performing as bride walks up the aisle for the signing of the schedule with the witnesses and
yeah,
photographs are taken at that point, and then a really nice upbeat piece as they walk down to reception drinks inside or outside. Generally lasts for about an hour, hour and a half, or for their wedding breakfast. So I can be playing for some hours,
yeah.
but I'm used to that. So yeah, no, I absolutely love that.
Fabulous. And are you able to offer sort of add-ons like, a quartet or a trio if needs be?
I don't generally get asked because a lot of clients say to me, well, we wanted, someone that could play along to piano. And some of the tracks that I play alongside, they're professionally recorded. And some are piano tracks, some are guitar backing, some's orchestral. So I have a very different, it keeps the listener um, really kind of embraced into the music because it's a very varied, like, backing that I can offer as well. So I
Yeah.
have performed with a couple of pianists when required to do so. And I've never, I used to play in string quartets, but not so anymore. I suppose it's just time factor really. But
Nice.
yeah, if I was asked, I played along with a sax player who is well known in the area, and we
Yeah.
did a little set reception drinks. That was really good fun. So yeah, so anything is really possible. But yeah, don't
I
ask
mean,
that. I don't get asked that often to do that.
yeah. What's interesting, actually, one of my takeaways, and I think I hadn't actually quite considered this, is because I think a violinist, violin music, you turn up, you play a violin, but of course you've got a sound system with backing tracks, and you're not just adding string music, you're adding an entire sort of fully enveloping ambience, aren't you?
Definitely, yeah. And I have different sets of equipment. I can be performing in maybe three, maybe four areas
Yeah.
during the day. So I have to have lots of equipment with me. I've got quite a big car, thank goodness, to take it all with me and set up in the various locations. So yeah, it's a Bose PA system that I have. Yeah, with that is quite it's brilliant, it really, really is. So I'm very fortunate.
So, I mean, I certainly know from experience of sort of just loving string music and violin music specifically that you can take the same exact piece of music, note for note, and you can play it with almost different levels and feelings of emotion, right? So how do you balance the differences in the emotion in a room between, say, a ceremony versus a drinks reception versus a wedding breakfast, where you want different feelings in the room, but maybe you're going to be playing lots of similar styles of music across the board?
Well, I always say to couples, it's very personal, but for me, like pre-ceremony is very romantic kind of type of music. So to set that ambience. And then, you can have the same piece of music, but, more upbeat, safe, and incorporate that maybe in some reception drinks. And then for the wedding breakfast, a little bit of mixture, really, but a little bit more lively. And everyone's had the wedding and, they're gearing up for the evening to take place. So, yeah, a little bit more upbeat music during that time, definitely.
What's been the most unexpected piece of music people have asked you for?
Some Star Wars music from Star Wars is quite fun. Yeah, Game of Thrones, the Avengers. Oh goodness me, what's my most challenging piece? There's been a few over the years, but I always am very very honest with couples, and if I didn't think it sounded okay or it was a little bit on the mark, I would be totally honest. But 99% of the time, it is absolutely possible. I absolutely adore a challenge and will make it work. But if I honestly didn't think it could work, I'd be very honest and open and say, no, I don't think it'll work. Or maybe we should move it from, your ceremony and have it as a bit more fun for your reception drinks.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, at the end of the day, that's kind of what people are speaking to you for, right? Because well, this is going to work really well here, that'll work really well there, and so on and so forth. So let's say there's people out there right now who are thinking, "Gosh, I'm really enjoying this conversation. I've always enjoyed violin music. I didn't realize maybe it was a thing, or I didn't maybe know there was quite so much to it." So, what would you tell people out there who are thinking about booking a live violinist beyond, obviously, go and speak to Caroline? What advice would you give them?
right. Well, just have an idea really of the music you like. There's different, obviously, there's classical, there's films, there's like musicals, there's 50s all the way through to modern day. And maybe pick your core pieces to start with. And if you're thinking about somebody to play for you, think about the pieces that you would love to fit your special day, and then we can work around it.
Yeah.
I can help and guide you and fill in any gaps. I can place your music in a beautiful performance order because some people go, right, I really like this, 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 and this. I don't know how it would flow. That's something that I'm here for 100%. I always offer an hour's consultation to my couples once they've booked me for them to hear their music choice, snippets of their choices, just to make sure they're happy and we've got the correct vibe as to what they would like for their day. Yeah, yeah, it's very emotive. Sometimes, I always say, especially if they're an emotional bride and she's like, "Oh, I really like this piece. I lost my dad, and I really want this piece played." And I always say that's amazing. Maybe have it played a little bit later, just in case it causes upset for you. But again, it is their personal choice. So
Yeah. Okay. And would you say that there are any kind of common misconceptions or common mistakes that people make when they think about getting sort of live music and violin music at a wedding?
do your homework. Absolutely. Make sure the person that you hire is going to be right for you. And the music choices you want, they're able to play.
Yeah.
Not everybody has a vast repertoire. So it's quite important that you choose the right person as well. And go on reviews and testimonials as well, and make sure that especially they've got public liability insurance and hat testing license, yeah,
Yeah.
certificates and things like that. And yeah, it's the equipment's got to be really really good. You don't want somebody with dodgy equipment. as well, and they're reliable, and they're quite a reputable person within the industry as well.
Get you. I mean, probably another thing as well to consider there is that, and I mean, certainly like yourself. So you were recently in is it the Essex Wedding Awards?
Yes, I was, yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's no small feat, is it now?
I was absolutely thrilled to bits to become, I was a finalist, and had to do quite a lot of the put in portfolio and some recordings and videos and photos and all sorts. So, but yeah, absolutely thrilled to bits to have been a finalist.
Yeah,
So
exactly. It's like an industry level award, but they're not only just asking people what they thought of you, they're looking at what you actually do, what your service is. So to be recognized like that, just alone, immediately speaks to the fact that you really do know what you're doing.
I was just, I thought I'm going to give it a go. See, you have to meet their requirements as well, and submitted, and I did a PowerPoint presentation as well with testimonials, and had to submit my literature. I always give a couple when I meet them, normally at a wedding show or an open day, and I give them a little sample CD. There's a leaflet with codes on, and my repertoire that had to be submitted, and yeah, a lot about from the beginning right to kind of how I first started, and how you engage with a couple right throughout to the booking process to actually the wedding day. So it was quite involved,
Yeah.
and yeah, very very thrilled to become a finalist.
And very worthy as well. Two last questions. First of all, when you're sat at home, you're in your own space, you put a piece of music on, which piece of music are you listening to that never fails to give you goosebumps?
Yoga Strings, Absolute by Barbara. That is one of my all-time favourites.
Yes, yes.
Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto, love that, absolute classic. But I love Guns N' Roses. I absolutely adore Bon Jovi. So, and they're all in my repertoire as well. So, yeah, a big different like spectrum. But I love musical, love shows, theatre. Yeah, I have a huge range. I love country music, bit of Luke Combs. I love that. So yeah, huge varied. I listen to all sorts, but love Vivaldi, love the Four Seasons. That's another favourite of mine. That blasts out in the car, much to my children's disgust. They're not classically trained whatsoever. And then it's really strange. None of my family are. From when I was a little girl, and my parents weren't interested in classical music.
Yeah.
I had my grandfather was amazing. He loved it, and he used to take me to see different concerts locally, and was very encouraging. But none of the rest of my family are not musical at all.
Get you. Okay. And last question. People out there, they'll no doubt listen to this thinking this is wonderful. I must find Caroline and look at what she's doing. Where can people find you on the internet and on the social?
I'm on the internet. I have a website, www.musicbyviolin.co.uk. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and yeah, have quite a good following on there. And where else can you find me? Goodness, I have
You've got a YouTube channel as well, haven't you?
YouTube channel as well. Yeah, and some snippets of some of my audio on there as well. But I'm very quite apparent on the socials, and yeah, that's where you'll find me.
Cool. And of course, most likely at a wedding fair near you.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a lot recently. The last January, February has been really, really busy with lots of open days, wedding shows as well. So fortunate, yeah, to be able to do that.
Sounds great. Caroline, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting. Thank you so much. And let's catch up again soon.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time.
Take care. And there you go, folks. That has been a genuinely lovely conversation with some real insight into just how powerful live music, especially live violin and string music, can be on a wedding day. Now, if you are planning a wedding and you want music that's going to feel elegant, emotional, and is going to be beautifully performed, definitely get in touch with Caroline. You can find her online at musicbyviolin, all one word, .co.uk, and on Facebook, Instagram, at TikTok as music_by_violin. Do go and have a proper look and a proper listen. She really is wonderful. And as you've heard, she really is wonderful. And of course, if you've been enjoying the podcast, do please like, follow, subscribe, and share. As you have no doubt discovered, it's full of really useful, valuable, and interesting information. Until next time, folks, do remember to choose your suppliers wisely, and I'll see you again on the next episode of the Supplier Spotlight podcast. Take care, folks.